Hello, sir.
Yeah,
So I want to talk regarding the yesterday's mail sent to Bindu ma'am.
yeah, go ahead.
So I got her reply at morning 9:40. In that
Mhm.
she said that she is canceling professional communication class for
Yeah,
today.
yeah, I also received that
And
email.
so I informed her that ITP labs are already cancelled, but I didn't got any reply back, means reply from her side about that.
Okay. So I did have a talk with Dr. Neelu and uh, Dr. Bindu was in copy. So the overall idea, the resolution that we are trying to come up with is that somehow we would try to use this Tuesday slot from 12:15 to 3 because the TAs do not have any other slot that matches with your timetable. So I mean, I have requested Dr. Neelu to find another slot for the professional communication lecture, but we'll tell you what is the final resolution in a few days of time.
So, sir, what about today's lab then? Is
So
it
no,
still
no, today
cancelled?
yeah, today's lab is cancelled because I did not prepare the problems after that, right? So so today's lab stands cancelled. I did send it yesterday itself, right? The email itself. So
Okay, sir.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, guys, attendance enabled. So you guys must have been having another class, right? Just before this. I'll just wait for a couple of more minutes. Is it? I mean, you were not able to understand the lecture, the 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 lecture that was there on YouTube.
Sir, it was very understandable. I get very less, like only 20-30%.
Okay.
And actually, there were a lot of doubts, even more than the lecture.
Okay. So
So
then,
I
see,
don't
doubts.
think shepherds can get all of them.
So the idea really, Tia, is that the questions that I put up for shepherds, they are more. I mean, it's not like a strict question answer thing. It's more like to drive the discussion, right? I mean, um, in my view, if, let us say there are 4 or 5 points that are important in a lecture, I just try to put them as questions. And when the discussion starts, you can always put up your doubt, right? Saying that I did not get this part. It doesn't have to be exactly from the questions that I put, right? It's like it's more about initiating the discussion, and you can ask. The reason I'm saying this is that in the previous batch, we actually had spare time left at the end. So we discussed everything in time, and so I thought it will be like a very simple lecture. So, so let's see what the shepherds do. If, of course, the shepherds do not answer, then I'm here. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Sir, attendance is enabled.
Yes, yes, it is enabled. I have 35 responses till now. Okay. So I have 72 people. I just hope that I'm not guessing more people are going to come. So let's just start. So I have already received some feedback that maybe this lecture was slightly difficult to understand. So then the responsibility of the shepherds become, even more. It gets higher, right? So now I want some good volunteers. Okay. Okay, Palak is there. Palak and any more? Yash, just a minute. Let me open that sheet. Okay, Palak, your section and your roll number. IT 30. Okay. Just a minute. Where is the sheet? Okay, and it's okay, Dhruv. They'll get well soon. Uh, it's okay, Mohit. Uh, uh, Yash, your roll number and section. IT 66. 66. Okay. It would be nice if I get one more, otherwise two are fine.
Sir, am I audible right now?
Yeah, right now you're audible.
Okay, then I think I can manage today.
Okay, great. So Mohit would be one. Mohit, your roll number and
Sir, 31, sir. LIT.
okay, just a minute. 31. Okay. Anyone else who would like to be a shepherd? Rohan. Rohan, your roll number and section. CS 64. 64. Okay. Okay, I think four are enough. Okay, Akshay, would you like to be? Okay, your roll number? Okay, it is 008 IT. Got it. IT 008. Got it. Okay, so let's start, guys. Huh? And as Tia has pointed out, if it's this is something for everyone. If you feel that you are not satisfied with the explanation given by the shepherd, you can always ask me to come in, and I'll explain the same to you. Okay, so don't hesitate in that sense. But I do know that the shepherds usually do a good job, so let's just give them a chance. Mm, okay, just a minute. Can you guys see my screen now? Okay, fine. Right, so you can start. I'm just going to
If
mute
I'm
myself.
audible, I will begin. Somebody respond, like, I can't, like, okay, thank you. So basically, structures, we can compare them to, like, even you see, like, in Word, there are different templates. So, like, there are inbuilt, you can make your own template or you can use previously built templates, and then you can put your data into them, like, like in a particular structure. So, and then you can perform operations on that structure. So, structure is basically just a you can say technical way of saying that there is a particular way of arranging data. So like it can be you don't need to be a singular type of data type. It can be different data types in a structure so that we can perform different operations. A simple example would be like you made a structure for a banking system or a interest system, and then basically uh, the operations being done would be same. It's just that the data provided would be different for every scenario. So you can just make a structure for interest, simple interest or compound interest, and then you can just uh, you can reuse it again and again. Yes, it is similar. We can just use the same thing we can make a program and we can use the same thing. It's just that a structure is a we can perform operations on a structure. So we can run a structure in a loop, or we can
Mohit, I think you are
yeah, sorry.
complicating the things.
Okay. So you can give a simple overview.
Basically, basically the motivation for structures is that in arrays we just have one data type. So we can make an array using one data type. So it can be of character type or integer type. But suppose take an example. So suppose you are a teacher and you want to make a report card of all the students. Suppose you have 10 students. So for the first student, you have to store name and age, say age, and marks. So for this, you have to make 3 into 10, 30 variables, and that will be different variables. But for a student, and for the student, the age and the marks belong to that student. So for such kind of situations where we have to club different data types, we use structures. So we will make a structure which will have a character array which will store the name, which will have an integer array which will have an integer which will store the age, and the third will have a float which will store the marks of that student. So we can club all these three things, three data types in one data type, that is structure. So that is the whole motivation for using a structure.
Yes, I think Upadhyay explained it much better. It was far more simpler. I was needlessly complicating it. But yes, basically it is like another data type which is far more flexible, and we use multiple data types in it. So doubts.
So Sanskriti has a doubt.
Oh, okay. So, am I audible? So, I will answer it.
Yeah, you're audible.
Sanskriti asked what is the difference between sample underscore structure and S1 and S2. So, here when we declare a structure template, so we give this structure a name. Like when we declared it, with sir gave the example. So, we declared it as struct. Then we put our structure name, that is sample underscore structure. The name of the structure can be anything, like if you are making a attendance record or something, then you can simply declare it as struct attendance. So here the sample underscore structure is the name of the structure, and the S1 and S2 are basically the structure variable. For example, suppose we have made a record for the students. So now if we want to make a record for 3 students, so we can simply declare 3 structure variables, S1, S2 and S3. So in that way, S1 and S2 refer to the template which we have already made. Like for student 1, and we will go into the template, that is maybe name, roll number and grade.
So adding, so first how to declare a structure. So structure is basically defined outside the main, and so how will the compiler know that we are defining a structure? So for that we use the keyword struct. So struct is compulsory. So as everyone said, that structure is like template, so we have to give the name to a template. So we can give any name to a templates, like what I discussed, that report card. So give, like, we outside the int main, outside the main function, we have to write struct, then say report card, and then inside the report card we will define the member variables. We used character, so we first used to store the name, so we will use character and say name 30. Then for that age we will use int age, and then we will use float marks. So this will after defining all this, we are ready with a template. Now, when we have to use this template, we will have to, like, we use this template in main. We want this structure template in main. So we will use structure variable. So inside main, we will write struct, then result, and then we will name, we are using the template, so we will write objects like s1 s2. So these are similar to objects, if it is clear from the example.
And we just define first the template name, then we define like a row. Like if we are putting a row of data like character, then age, and then what do you call it? Marks. So basically we need one variable to address that. मतलब कि उस पूरे row का मतलब एक uh, uh, there should be some way of you calling it or performing operations on it. So we give that also a certain variable name. So that is like S1, S2, S3. If I think I'm right.
You can use the things that I wrote in the document as an example, guys.
So संस्कृति basically what we are doing is that अगर हमने कोई मान लो अटेंडेंस रिकॉर्ड के लिए हमने एक स्ट्रक्चर का टेम्पलेट बनाया, जो टेम्पलेट हमारा बहुत बड़ा है और हमें वो सेम टेम्पलेट 2-3 प्रोग्राम्स में यूज करना है, तो अगर हम हर प्रोग्राम में टेम्पलेट लिखेंगे तो हमें मतलब बहुत मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी और बड़ा हो जाएगा। तो हम बेसिकली क्या कर सकते हैं, उस पूरे टेम्पलेट को एक अलग से हेडर फाइल में डिक्लेयर कर सकते हैं। फिर वो हेडर फाइल हम जब भी किसी फंक्शन में कॉल करेंगे, वो टेम्पलेट जो है वो अपने आप इंक्लूड हो जाएगा। जैसे सर ने कॉल की थी हेडर फाइल car.h, तो जब car.h हेडर फाइल इंक्लूड की थी तो फिर हमें वो जो स्ट्रक्चर था अपना वो फिर से डिक्लेयर नहीं करना पड़ा था।
So let me just add some things here. First of all, it is a good practice. Okay, it is not a necessity to use header files for defining these structures. Okay, so don't think that it is a necessity. You can always define your structures within your C files. In fact, you can define them within your main itself. It's just that then they will not be accessible outside main. Okay, but if you want them to be accessible throughout your program in different functions, then you have to define them globally, so outside the main. The whole idea of using a header file is that header files are generally used where there is some kind of common C code. It's exactly the same, so there is no change. I mean, if I change car.h to car.c, it is exactly the same. Okay, it is just a convention that if there is some code which I want to include in multiple files, I simply rename it as .h instead of .c. It is exactly the same C code. Okay, there, and there is really no restriction on what can be there in a .header file and what cannot be. Okay, it's exactly the same thing. uh, it's just that it's a convention. It is helpful for the person who's reading your code, that a .h file means that this is something that is supposed to be included into other files so that your program can access it. Okay, so there is really no difference. You could have used, you could have declared the struct thing in each .c file that you had used, but in order to avoid defining it multiple times, I simply added it into a header file and then included the header file. Name of structure.h. No, that is so. Again, these are all conventions. Okay. You could have named it Sanskriti.h if you want, right? There's no issue. The name of the header file doesn't make any difference. It's just that it has some whatever code you write there, and whenever you include it in your program, that code it assume as if that code has been copy pasted in your program before your actual program. Okay, so right before your int main, everything that you have included, it kind of gets copy pasted. Okay, so assume like this. Okay, there is one more doubt that Tia had, right? Structure variables and structure instances. So Tia, this is the idea. If you see the program that is, I mean, just this example. So I'm creating a structure called student. Okay, and this is essentially a structure template, not really a structure, a structure's template. And the name of the template is student. And here, this should be small. And here I'm creating two instances of student. This is the idea. Okay, so S1 and S2 are instances of a student, and a student itself is defined by two properties, a roll number and the name, right? And this is what we are saying, that S1 and S2 are instances of structure student, and they are also called as the structure variables. Okay, they are basically variables, but essentially they are a collection of variables similar to array, right? An array is also a simple variable when you use it, but you know that inside, from in the background, an array is basically a collection of variables. So similarly, a structure is the same thing. It is again a collection of variables. It's just that the variables are of different types and not the same type. Okay, so is it clear now, guys, that what is the difference
Sir,
between?
so,
Go ahead.
so student is the structure and S1, S2 are structure instances and the
Yes,
name student is the template.
yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
I don't think for a lot of people it will be clear what is instances. So can you please
Huh. So
define
instances
it a
are
little?
basically variables. Okay. So instances are, so let whenever I say int I say I is an instance of int. Okay. Whenever I say float f is an instance of float. Okay. So basically, if you get confused with the word instances essentially means variables. Okay. So S1 and S2 are variables of type student. And what exactly is student? Student is a structure. Okay, and what is the template, like what exactly does student contains, and this is where we are defining it here. Okay, so is this clear? Is the terminology clear now, that what do we mean by structure variable, what do we mean by structure, um, what do we mean by the template? Okay, so the template here for this structure contains two member variables, roll number and name. Okay, so these are two member variables of the structure called student, and S1 and S2 are two instances of slash variables of type student. So is the terminology clear now? Any doubts in the terminology part? So I'm assuming the terminology. Yeah, okay. There is some question. Yeah, so it's like this, right? I mean, essentially what you are doing, Ria, is that when you do this struct student thing, you are basically creating a new data type. Okay, so let us say currently you had char int float double. Now you have char int float double and student. Okay, so now you have a fifth data type, let us say. And what exactly is that data? How does the compiler know what do you mean by student, right? That definition, that explanation for the compiler, that okay, student consists of name and a roll number. So this is the template. Okay, it doesn't reserve any memory. Okay, nothing is created as of now. So no memory is allocated by just this template. This will not result in allocation of any memory. When will the memory be allocated? When you do this. Okay, so two variables of type student will be created, and they will both take how much? This is going to take what, 4 bytes, and this is going to take 30 bytes. So both S1 and S2 are going to use up 34 bytes, at least 34 bytes of memory, and then you can use it like a variable. Does that answer your question, Ria? Okay.
So sir, like in integer, like we define like it can like we define its range. of integer data type is like it's like from minus to 1/4 whatever to positive. So we are just doing the same thing for like structure student, but like can we put conditions also? Like we are just adding different data types. So can we put conditions also, like it needs to be this or that only, and then
No, no,
like
no, 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 you cannot. So it is just a, so basically structure is nothing more than a container. Okay. You are just creating a container, and you are saying that, okay, this container is going to have one integer, one float, one character array, so on and so forth. So basically, you are, it's similar to a carry bag. Okay. So the individual items in your carry bag, they have their not change. Structure is just the carry bag in which you put all these different elements and you take them away, right? In fact, this is a good example. You, let us say you go to the market and you buy some biscuits, right? So the Parle G packet will have only Parle G biscuits. Okay. Marigold packet will have only Marigold biscuits. So you consider them that they are basically integer array and a float array. But then you put them together in a poly bag, right? And you take you bring them together to your place. So now these are two variables. They have their own properties are intact, right? So Parle G and Marigold do not interchange biscuits, right, between them. They remain the same as they were. And you can access them like this. So this is the idea, that the ranges and everything else, they remain the same. It's just that now you have a container, so that it way, if you guys have done something like object oriented programming, so this is like the precursor to object oriented programming, where you did not have any operations, like no methods, just different types of variables. Okay, so this is the uh, variant for a class, for example.
And sir, we don't call S1 and S2 as objects here.
No, object is a terminology that is in object oriented languages. Okay, that is why we call them as structure. We even omit the word variable. Okay, we simply say structure S1. So we, again, this is like a informal thing. I have a structure called S1, even though it's not really a correct way to say it. It's we should say structure variable. No,
So
C is
sir,
not.
when we use just structure, so it becomes confusing that we are defining a structure or we are just trying to use that template. So
Yeah.
using
That is the. I mean, this is,
objects are
yeah, that is what in object oriented programming you have two different terms, right? Class and object. um, but here you don't have a corresponding term for object. This is the problem. Okay. So you can use things like structure and structure variable, that is the or structure instance, whatever you call it. You don't uh, have a corresponding term in C. That is the problem. And not just C, I mean any procedural language, any non-object oriented language, you don't have a corresponding term for object.
okay, sir.
So yeah, any more queries on the terminology part?
So
If you're
I would like to say something. Sanskriti asked that S1 and S2 are needed to be declared before. So uh, when we make the template, after doing that, we want to make some instances like if we are taking the attendance or marks or something of 2 or 3 students, then we need to uh, how it then we need to make 3 instances of the structure student. So then in the int main function, before taking the values like the name or something, we need to declare a variable like s1 or s2 and s3. So but this declaration can be done anywhere in the int main function before we are actually taking the value. Suppose we can in int main we can write some code, then we can declare the structure student s1 and s2, and then we can take the values of s1 and s2.
So
Is-
let me try to give another example that might clarify the dot. So you guys remember we wrote some code. There was an example where I was taking some marks on the console, and then I was just saying this is your percentage, something like this, right? So there were two things that I wanted from the user. Okay, the total marks and the obtained marks. Okay, and let us say for 5 subjects or something like this. Now and then I was just showing that your percentage is something like that. So now how did we do that? The way we did that was we had to keep two arrays. Okay, there was one array that was containing the obtained marks, and then there was another array that was containing the total marks. And then we had a convention that if I want to calculate the percentage, basically I do something like this, that a by b, where so a is the ith index of first array and b is the ith index of second array, something like this, right? So then I got 99 out of 100. So 99 is stored in first array's 0th index, and 100 is stored in second array's 0th index. So right, you had to keep two arrays to store those things. One way to do that using structure will be to create a structure called marks, and then in the marks structure you can have two member variables, one obtained marks, the other one total marks. Okay, and then you can create instances of this. Okay, so then you can say for five, if I need to store uh, marks for 5 subjects, I will create 5 instances, 5 variables of the marks structure. Its declaration will be like, so are you asking for the S1 and S2 variables? Like how do you create S1 and S2? Is this what you are trying to say?
He is asking that where to declare this line. I mean that it
That
can
you can do. You can do
anywhere,
anywhere.
but after this,
Ha.
when you have created this, after that.
So it's like this. You are creating a new data type in C. Okay. As I said, uh, let us say if you had char int float double before, now you have char int float double and student. Okay. So you can create a variable of type student as well. Okay. So and everything else is exactly the same. How did you create it in int? How did you create a float? The same thing is there. You can create a student that's like this. Okay, and what does it mean by creating a student? It means this is that it is a collection of 2, 3, 4 different types of variables. That is what it means. So uh, you can create an array also, right? You can create an array of student, just like you created an array of integer. You can create an array, and this is a later question also in the document. So if you want, let us say, more than 10, I'm not sure what do you mean. And I mean, if you want any more than one, you can simply create an array. That is the idea. I don't want to use the term. I mean, because abstract is, again, because it will confuse people more. Like, what exactly does abstract mean? Okay. So I don't want to use another term, abstract. And see, the term instance itself created a confusion. So I don't want to use the term abstract again, right? So let's not use abstract data type. So essentially, the idea is that you are creating a new type. Okay. As I said, char int float double. Now you have student as well. That is the idea. Yeah. You can declare it anywhere. It's where can you declare an int or char or float, right? You can declare it anywhere. It could be inside a function. It could be outside all the functions, right? If it is inside the function, it is a local variable. If it is outside the function, it is a global variable. So all those same things apply with student instances as well, student variables as well.
So all the rules of local and global variables apply here also.
Yeah. All rules apply there.
Okay, sir.
Any more questions in the terminology part? If you are still confused with the terminology, like for what does it mean by uh, you know What does it mean by structure or structure variable or things like this? Any questions on that? No? Are we good? So now everyone understand what is a structure? Why do you have this less than sign? It will be like this only. Like I mean, I will create exactly like this, like whatever you have written, struct student ARR 10. This is how you will create it. Okay, I'm not sure what is that less than 10. I less than 10. I mean, but if you want to create an array of 10 students, this is how you will create struct student ARR 10. Is it still confusing? It is similar to, right? I mean, just remove struct student and put int there. What will happen? It will create an array of 10 integers. Okay, and remove struct student and put float there. It will make a float array of 10. For index 10,
So that array 10 will be for a single element.
no,
Means
no,
the 10
it's like this.
index.
No.
Or will
No,
it
no.
be size?
See, it's like this. How do you create an integer array? You create it like this, right? Int ARR 10, right? This what you understand, right? This is how we create an integer array. And when I want to access a particular index of this array, I do what? ARR 0, ARR 1, or in general ARR I. Right? This is how I use a particular index of an array. The same thing is here. If I want to use a particular student instance, a particular student variable, I will use something like this, right? ARR 0 is the first student, ARR 1 is the second student, ARR I is the ith student. Is it getting clearer? So it's just exactly the same as creating integer arrays or double arrays or something like that. It's just that now you are creating instances, you are creating an array of student type. That's it. Okay. Any more clarifications on the terminology part? Okay. Because once the terminology is clear, I think the rest of the questions will take hardly 2 minutes or so to go through. So 2 minutes each. So what is the and any more? Uh,
So
yes.
sir, basically we will write it as struct student and then int ARR size.
No, not int.
Its size.
Yeah, just the size, not int. So int is not there. Like, right? You replace int with struct student. That is it.
So struct student ARR then in bracket its size.
Yeah, that is what I wrote. Na? This comment. I can't select any text on this WebEx chat. If you scroll up on 1140, whatever I wrote at 1140, the same thing, right? Okay. So doubts on the terminology part? Is it clear? Okay, so I guess you can continue now with the second question. So essentially, there is one more term, member variable, right? I think, but you guys have already discussed it, right?
Yeah, so basically in conclusion for second question, we can say that here the struct student s1 comma s2, the s1 and s2 are the structure variable, and the member variable are basically the roll number and the name which we have declared inside the structure student. So that's the basically difference between both of them. And if there are any doubts, you can ask. So we can go to the next question. That is, it is possible to add an array of any type as a member variable of a structure. So yes, here as we have done that char name 30, so basically we have added an array inside a structure student, so that we can declare the arrays inside a structure. And when we want to access these particular member variable, generally we use an operator which is dot. So supposedly I want to access the roll number variable, so I would write s1 dot roll underscore number, so that way we can access that particular member. Similarly, for the name one, character one also, we can access it using the dot operator, and then we can assign values to the members. Like we have declared it int roll number, so we can assign any integer type to it, and basically it works in the same way as the normal variables, just that it is declared inside a structure. So if anyone wants to ask something, he or she can.
So
Any
you all
doubts?
can see how sir have written and declared all the things. So see, this is for S1. So we can do the similar things for S2 also.
Also, I would like to add that if we would have declared structure student s as an array, like structure student s, and we would have declared it as in size of 10, then while accessing it we would have written s, then brackets mein we would have written maybe I, then dot, and then name student. And we could have used for loops, while loops, everything, so that it is easier to take the input from the user. So here we would have written alt underscore students bracket में I dot roll underscore num, and we could have easily taken it as an input using a for loop.
That also basically discusses the fourth question also, that we can make arrays of a structure.
So there is no particular difference between a template and a data type. A data type is is like we have declared a data type, integer, character, float. These are already declared data types. But here we have made a structure student, and it works basically as a data type only. That now we have data types like integer, int, char, float, and we have another data type called struct student. So template is basically what all members are there inside the struct student data type. Whenever we declare a data type struct student, all those members that are int roll number and card name are included in that data type. Like when we declare a struct student s1 s2, so a continuous memory is allocated. Like if we would have declared individually like int roll number, card name, different memories
Yes.
would have been.
Yeah, I understand that, but I am asking that if sir has said that it's a custom data type, then can we like output it? Like if we declare an int variable I, so we can use printf to declare it. But I don't think here we would be able to like direct output it like printf student.
You, you
No,
can
no,
No.
no.
so,
What
but
you can go ahead, go ahead.
so what's the use of printf student? So student is just a template. So we cannot just print the template. When we define s1, like s1 dot roll number is equal to 12. So when we see out using printf, you can do printf s1 dot roll number. So it will print 12. So
I think what he's trying to say is, can we do cout s1 or printf s1? No, that you cannot do. You will
yes,
still have to, yeah, you will still have to print the specific member variables using the dot operator. Okay, you cannot do
Sir,
something like
that's what I'm asking. Like here it seems like there's a difference between template and a data type. If it would have
no,
been
no,
a
no,
data
no.
type, we would have been directly able to print it.
No, no, no. First of all, there is no restriction that if something cannot be printed by printf, it cannot be called a data type. Okay, there is nothing like this. Essentially, I can always call student to be a data type. The idea of data type is that if you can create an instance of that particular type, it is a data type. Okay, so if I can create an instance of student, if I create, again, sorry for using the word instance, by the way, whenever I'm saying the word instance, it actually means a variable. Okay, so if you can create a variable of type x in a particular language, then x is a data type in that language. Okay, so for example, in Java you can create a data type of you can create a variable of type boolean. So boolean is a data type in Java, right? But you cannot create a boolean variable in C. So boolean is not a data type in C. So the same, on the same lines, student is what I'm doing with the help of struct keyword, is that I'm coming up with a new data type, and this new data type is student. It is not necessary that this data type has exactly the same properties as other data types. So for example, I cannot, for example, write something like s1 plus s2. Okay, s3 equal to s1 plus s2. Why? Because the plus operator is not defined for the struct data type. Okay, so that is the idea. Data type doesn't mean that it has some, it has to be it has to follow certain guidelines. No, data type means if you can create a variable of it.
Sir, if we can create a custom data type, so we could always like create a custom set of rules to perform arithmetic operations on that. Or
Yes, yes. So in fact, this is where C++ and C differ significantly. In C++, there is something known as operator overloading. Okay, again, I'm not going to talk about it because it's a C++ concept. But if you guys are also studying C++, go and look up what operator overloading means. Okay, so what you just did, what you just said, you can do that using operator overloading. In C, there is no concept of operator overloading. So what you will have to do, for example, if let us say there is some way to add two structures, you will have to create a function. Okay, it would, let us say, a function called add. Okay, which takes two structure variables s1 and s2. um, Student s1 is wrong. uh, I'm not sure what would be wrong here. Let me come first, talk to let us just finish this particular query. So if you want to define more operations on a particular structure, you'll have to write more functions. Okay, you cannot just for example say that whenever I say s1 plus s2, please consider this to be the meaning. That you cannot do in C. You can do that in C++. In C++, you can say that whenever I write S1 plus S2, this is what I mean. But in C, you cannot do that. You will have to write add parenthesis S1 comma S2. Does that answer your question? So
Yes,
you
sir.
can, you can always define more operations on structure types, okay, but that has to be through custom functions. That is the idea. You can define as many in fact, the classic case where we can do that is let us say you create a structure called complex number. Okay, the complex number structure will have two elements. Okay, let us say float real and float imaginary. So then complex number C1 and complex number C2, if you create two structure variables, then saying C1 plus C2 actually makes sense, right? Because it will be something where you add up the real number, the real part, and where you add up the imaginary part. But it cannot be written like this in C. You cannot write something like C3 equal to C1 plus C2. You can write C3 equal to add C1 comma C2. So you have to create a function called add, where you pass C1 and C2, you do the addition and return the new variable. That is the idea. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. If the question is that whether student S1 or whether we should write student S1 or struct student S1, if this is the question, then yes, you have to write struct student S1. Just student S1 will not work. If you want to do that, if you just want to make student S1 to be correct, there you have to use the type def keyword, right? That is the idea. If you use type def keyword, you basically create an alias for struct student. Okay, you can say the alias for struct student is simply student. Then writing student S1 is not wrong. Then you can use it. But otherwise, if you're not creating an alias, you have to write struct student S1 and not student S1. Okay, does that answer your question? Okay. So what? Yeah. Any more queries on this, or we can move to the next part? Just passing by values and type def we have already discussed a little bit, but just one thing left: value, pass by value, and pass by reference. It doesn't hold any significance. It's like an alias. Okay, so maybe your parents call you something else at home, Tia, right? Everyone, your friends might call you some other name, right? It's the same person, just different names. So that is the same thing that type def does. Okay, so if I do not want to write struct student every time, I can simply say type def struct student as stud, stud, and then from there onwards I can simply write stud s1. Again, just assume that whenever you write stud s1, it is getting copy pasted by struct student. That's it. So it's like an alias for the same thing. Okay. Any more questions on this?
So I would like to add something that while we are one thing which we can do in C is the assignment. Like we can assign like S1 equal to S2. This we can do only in those instances where the data where the like S1 and S2 both have the same members, that is int, roll number and char name. So we can basically assign the values S1 equal to S2. But if the data types would have been different for both the S1 and S2, then we couldn't do that then.
Basically, they are variables of the same structure template.
So is this part clear that you can actually assign a structure variable to another structure variable of the same type? It is in the same line as saying that if I have if I have int I and int j, I can do I equal to j. But if j is, for example, char asterisk j, right? then this I equal to j will probably not go ahead, or it will give you some warning or error or whatever, right? So it's the compatibility thing, that if two structure variables are compatible with each other, that is they are the instances, the variables of the same structure type, right, the same structure template, then you can simply do assignments like this, s1 equal to s2. But otherwise, let us say, so for example, if I create another structure, struct teacher, for example, and I create a variable called t1, struct teacher t1, then I cannot do s1 equal to t1. That is not allowed. Okay, does that make sense? Because those two
So you
structures
can
are, yeah, go ahead.
so you can write the same sentence in 2 lines, so that will be easier to understand. So struct student s3 and then s3 is equal to s1. So sir, we have first defined s3 that it is a part of a student, it is using the same template, and then we have assigned that s3 will take all the values that s1 is taking, and say s1 is is also using the same student template. So that's how it is.
So is this part clear, guys? When I do this assignment, it simply copies everything. All the member variables of s1 will be copied to corresponding member variables of s2. That is it. s3, sorry, here. Okay. So then just like one more thing left. Any more questions on this? Yes, Ria, go ahead.
So
Ria, go ahead.
in the slides we talked about pointers, means they were pointing towards the address of the structure variable. So when we add 1 to the pointer variable, then will it point to, means you said that it will move to the total bytes that the structure consumes, but it should move to, means for example name and marks are there, then after name it should move towards marks, not to next structure.
No, that is the idea, that in pointer arithmetic, the pointer gets incremented or decremented by the amount of this data type's memory. Okay, the size of this data type in the memory. So for example, if I do pointer plus plus for an int type of pointer, it will get ahead by 4 by because integer takes 4 bytes. So similarly, what is the amount of space that this, let us say, student structure will take in the memory? It will take 4 bytes of space for the roll number and 30 bytes of space for the character. So this is the idea, that the size of the student data type is 34 bytes. Okay, so when I do s plus plus, where s is a type of student pointer, it will actually get incremented to by 34 bytes. So the idea is something like this. Whenever I add 1 to a pointer of a specific type, it simply means now point to the next instance of this type, next. And how and where will be the next instance? I have to skip those many number of bytes. Okay, and here a structure variable is going to be made up of 34 bytes, for example. So the next structure variable will be 34 bytes ahead. This is the idea. Okay, does that answer your question?
We can never know about the address of the roll number and name that is stored in every instance, means we can't access it.
You can access it with it's like this. You can always access it using let us say an integer pointer. Okay, so you can do something like int p equal to s1 dot I, s1 dot whatever it is, roll number. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes.
Right. So you can also create pointers to specific member variables, that you can do, and then you can use the addresses for whatever way you want.
Okay, sir.
Okay, but if you create a pointer to the overall structure, then no, then it is treated like one block.
Okay, sir.
So then, like, any more queries, guys? Otherwise, so there's just one more thing left, passing by value and passing by reference. I think it will take more time, so I'll just say it in like 2 sentences. So you can pass these structures in exactly the same way as any other variable. You can either do it by value or by reference. When you do it by value, a copy of the passed structure variable will be made in the called function. So again, a member to member copy will happen. It will be similar to saying S3 equal to S1. And then whatever changes you make, it will only reflect in the called function and not in the calling function. And similarly, if you want to pass something by reference, you create a pointer to that particular structure type, and you pass the address of that structure type from there to here, and then whatever changes you will make, they will reflect in the calling function. It's exactly the same way as it is for primitive data types. Okay. um, and by the way, if you do not get that part, just go through the slides. I have given 2 examples. One example where I'm passing the structure variables by value, and another example where I'm passing it by reference. Okay, so there's something like passenger, vehicle, car. So what is the difference between? They are just basically, so car is kind of an alias, right? That is what I said. You might have a different nickname at home and a different name for the rest of the world, right? It's just you're still the same, right? I mean, that is the same thing. Car and passenger vehicle are the same thing. It's just that you can use either of the 2 names. Okay, there's no difference as such. There's no new structure. It's exactly the same thing. It's just that it's an alias. Okay?
So,
Yeah.
sir, can we only write passenger vehicle and not car when we means when we write type?
No. Then you have to write struct passenger vehicle S1. Okay, but because that is the idea that you are defining a new alias for these 2 terms, struct passenger vehicle, right? The alias is for these two terms, not for the single term passenger vehicle. You get the
So
point?
it is necessary to write car.
No, it's like this. You either write this struct passenger underscore vehicle S1. This is equivalent to this. Okay, these 2 are exactly the same thing.
And so, no, I'm asking about when we declare it like type def struct and then passenger vehicle, then car we write. So is it necessary to write car underscore vehicle? Sorry, passenger
No.
underscore vehicle car, or is it okay with passenger underscore vehicle only?
This is, see, the it's like this, right? I mean, type F whatever you want to create an alias for, and then alias. It's like this. Okay, so you write type def, you write 1 or more words. Okay, words. So it could, so here it will be struct and passenger vehicle. These are the 2 words. Okay, and then the last word, whatever is there, that becomes the alias for everything that is before that. Does that make sense? So whatever you write between type def and the last word here, this alias part, whatever you type between this, whenever the compiler sees alias, it basically gets expanded to whatever you want to create an alias for.
Okay, so
Right? So so basically when I write type def struct passenger vehicle car, so then wherever the compiler will see car, you can just assume that it has been replaced with struct passenger vehicle. Yeah, that is right. So that is what I said, right? You have an alias, right? You have a nickname which your friends call you with. They probably would not call you Sanskriti Sahu, like the full name. They'll have some nickname for you. So car is the nickname for Struct passenger vehicle. That is it. Okay. So yes, we have run out of time. So if you still have some doubts, we can still take it up tomorrow. But otherwise, but please do go through the examples that I have given for structures. If you were not able to understand the lecture, there is a good chance that you have not looked at the example programs that I have given you. Okay. So if there are still any doubts after seeing
So
the lecture, also, yeah, go ahead.
So if inside structure we define 3 integers like int a, b and c, and if we have a pointer pointing to b and then we do pointer arithmetic, so it will go to c.
Yes.
And so after that
It will be that same thing, right? You don't know where it goes. It's a you cannot say where exactly is it lying in the memory. So it's the same thing, right? That segmentation fault program where the memory location might be valid, but the operation you are doing is unexpected or something like this.
Okay, sir. And so if we point to a and then do arithmetic, pointer arithmetic, so it will go to another structure, second structure.
What is a? A is the type of the structure itself.
No, sir. A is the first integer inside that structure.
No. So if you point to a, what will be the type of the pointer? It will be an integer pointer, right? So it will
Yes, sir.
always for an integer pointer, the arithmetic will always be in plus minus 4. Okay, it will never be in plus minus 12, for example. But for the structure, it will always be plus minus 12.
So when we used to point a structure, so it was pointing to the first integer or first data type that we declare inside the structure. So it's not the same thing.
No. It's basically it is not pointing to the first variable. It is pointing to the starting address of that memory block. It just happens that the first variable that is present in that block is a. Okay, it doesn't mean that it is pointing to a. You have to understand this. It is pointing to a location in memory, which is the starting address of a block, and this block consists of 3 integers. So of course the first integer is a, the second integer is b, and the third integer is c. Okay.
Okay.
Yes, Gaurav, it is mandatory. So any more doubts? I think you have a class from 12:15, so just go through the programs once, and I think it should be clear. It's not really that difficult. So go through the programs, and if you still have doubts, then send an email. Okay. Okay, guys. Thank you. Bye.